Hello and welcome to episode 497 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan. As always, joined by Evan Silva. We are entering a 6-team on a bye week 14. No idea why. Strikes me as quite silly, but anyways, Evan, how's it going?
Yeah, 6 teams on a bye. And then after that, we've got no buys left for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm ready, though. You know, we're coming off a heavily injured week. I mean, there were a ton of injuries in week 13.
Yep. Oh, there's no doubt about it. And yeah, some really impactful ones too. We'll get to them all on these next couple of shows. On today's show, we're going to be going team by team through each NFC squad, discussing what we saw in week 13 and what it means going forward. On the next episode, we'll be doing it for the AFC. Before we get into it, remember, this podcast is indeed brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Two things. First, Battle Royale. Snake drafts every week. We have rankings for those that come out on Wednesday nights. Second, they just launched their playoff best ball. Playoff best ball is so interesting. It's not just about picking players. You got to think about what teams are going to be in it, what teams are going to go the furthest and play the most games. And so there's all kinds of things. It's really, really deep to think about. We do have rankings up and strategy articles up for that playoff best ball right now on EstablishTheRun.com. If you have not tried Underdog Fantasy yet, promo code ETR will get you $100 sign-up deposit, up to $100 sign-up bonus. That's promo code ETR at UnderdogFantasy.com. All right, let's start with the Arizona Cardinals here, Evan. They were on a bye. They will come out of their bye to play a home game against the Patriots. Just two quick things here. First, I'm not sure you saw the Patrick Peterson versus Kyler Murray spat, but Patrick Peterson said something along the lines of, Kyler only cares about Kyler or something like that. More nonsense off the field talking crap about Kyler. Anyways, more interestingly, I think, is that Marquise Brown played a ton of slot in that game before the bye. If that continues, I am going to be very, very interested in Marquise Brown, but we do need to watch the health on Greg Dortch and Rondale Moore, assuming one of those guys is back. One of them, I think, will be the slot. Anything for you, Evan, as the Cardinals come out of their bye?
That's, I think, the most important thing is going to be the health of Rondale Moore. I would suspect that, and Marquise Brown played a ton in the slot. He played a lot in the slot in Baltimore as well. He's not really your typical slot receiver. He's more of a vertical, receiver than that. But I think that when everybody's healthy, and I sort of expect Rondale Moore to be back, I think that Rondale Moore will go back in the slot. Dortch will be like their number 4/number 5, and it'll be Hopkins and Hollywood on the perimeter.
Yeah. And that's a pretty nice receiving core, man, and so I don't think they're going to execute, I don't think they're going to be explosive just because the scheme is so bad, but, I think it's on paper very nice.
And I would like to reiterate that with these big workloads, massive workloads that James Conner has been getting, I would stash Keontae Ingram, especially in deeper leagues, because we know James Conner's history of getting nicked and injured.
I mean, James Conner and Ramondre Stevenson, when Damian Harris are out, two of the best workloads in the entire league. It's really crazy how much work those guys are getting. Let's go to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, you can't really see it because the box score and their offense, it's just like they don't want to throw the ball at all. But I'm pretty sure Drake London is a baller, man. He's up to 1.72 yards per route run now. He's also 18th among 103 qualifying wide receivers in Pro Football Focus's grades. He's earned a 27% target share. It is what it is, I think, at this point with the Falcons. We saw Drake London pop off for a nice game here, but it's really hard to trust going forward on a team that doesn't even want to throw the football at all. What do you see out of the Falcons game in week 13?
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons, they aired it out. They had 8 attempts of 20-plus yards for Marcus Mariota. He only hit on one of them. So, I mean, they don't have – and I think that now they're going into their bye. Like, it would not surprise me if they come out of their bye at least considering inserting Desmond Ridder. They have also lost 6 one-score games this year. They're 5-8. And 6 of their losses are by 1 score. Just something to note. I think that there is a chance after the bye that they at least give some consideration to going Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, to me, that 1-score game stat is an indictment of the coaches. In other words, they'd rather lose by less than actually try to win. A lot of times when you go for the win, you're going to end up losing by more, right? I mean, that happens all the time. But I feel like you should be going for the win more than the Falcons have really been going for it. But yeah, that would be really interesting to see Desmond Ridder out of the bye. Would love to just see someone else get in there and see if they can make anything happen in the pass game. Carolina was on their bye. They'll play at Seattle this week as they come out of the bye. They did release Baker Mayfield. I don't think it's surprising news at all. He reportedly asked for his release. They granted it. He's on waivers now. I've heard rumors about the Rams. Whatever. It's going to be Sam Darnold starting and PJ Walker as the backup the rest of the way for these Carolina Panthers. Obviously, the story before the bye was Sam Darnold unlocking DJ Moore's sizable talents. Anything else for you on Carolina here?
Nothing really to add to that.
Go to the Chicago Bears. So I know we debated a lot the Justin Fields stuff, and it was a really hard projection to make on Justin Fields, man. You know, we went back and forth on, hey, are they going to limit his designed runs? Are they going to just let him go nuts? It was the game before the bye. My take at the end on Sunday was like, why limit him if it's the game before the bye? If you're going to put him out there, you got to put him out there. Now, he had an insane run, another insane long touchdown run, but only 3 designed runs in this game. And maybe that had something a little bit to do with game flow. I mean, they were leading for much of this game until the fourth quarter, but still only 3 designed runs for Fields here. In the 5 games before his shoulder injury, designed runs were 11, 10, 7, 5, 12. So what do you think of Fields in this game? Anything else on the Bears as they head into their bye?
Well, he looks like Michael Vick out there. I mean, as a runner, and he's still a work in progress as a passer. And their pass catcher core. I mean, you know, we kind of debated who's the number 1 receiver for the Bears right now. And I mean, I guess it's Chase Claypool, but they don't really have any good receivers. You know, Equanimeous St. Brown is. Did you see that Jair Alexander after the game called him a scrub? And then he had to like apologize for that. You know, this team is just doesn't have very much talent. You know, they have a ton of cap space in the offseason. They've got a ton of draft picks coming up. I actually like the way the trajectory of the Bears so far under Ryan Poles. I mean, I think they know that Justin Fields is their guy, and they're kind of set up for the future. I mean, I kind of like, and they're losing games, so their draft picks are going to be better. So I kind of like how this season has played out for the Bears from a real life standpoint.
I mean, I know it's hindsight, but we said at the time that the Broncos passing on Justin Fields to take a corner was, I mean, egregious. I mean, that's going to like ruin the franchise forever because then they go, you know, with the Russell Wilson stuff. And obviously that's a disaster we'll talk about on the AFC pod. One thing I'll say about weapons and Justin Fields. So a lot of people have questions about Tua. Tua now gets Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and he's a freaking monster. Jalen Hurts was shaky as a pass catcher. He goes out, they get him A.J. Brown, and now Devontae Smith takes the leap forward. Now he's, you know, a beast. We see it with Jimmy Garoppolo all the time. He's not that good, but he can play well with the right weapons. I think getting Justin Fields weapons will be important and make a big difference. And I think Justin Fields has it in him to be a good thrower. The Chase Claypool stuff, man. I mean, 4.3 yard ADOT for Chase Claypool in this game. I don't think that the NFL has found the right role for Chase Claypool yet. Like, I don't know what it is. He's not really a great deep threat, but I also feel like he's not best used at a 4 yard ADOT. So I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about Chase Claypool for sure. Dallas. Sunday night game was just an absolute bloodbath. I mean, they absolutely wrecked the Colts, especially late with their defense. Tony Pollard. I mean, I'm tired of talking about it. The dude is just incredible. 12, 91, 2 rushing. Zeke also gets there with 17, 77. Both guys obviously can get there in these game flows where they absolutely smash and win the game 54-19. What do you think of Dallas on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, Pollard is just a baller. And Zeke looks good. I mean, Zeke is playing well. So they're going to continue to use both of those guys. CeeDee Lamb has been hyper consistent. This wasn't one of his monster games. Gallup showed up for a couple of touchdowns. But CeeDee Lamb has been really one of the most solid second-round fantasy picks this year.
Yeah, very consistent from CeeDee Lamb. And the usage in this team is getting very predictable, right? Like, there's not a lot of variance in how they use their players whatsoever. We know what they're going to do every week, which I think is a good thing, at least when trying to project players' range. Detroit. Evan, finally. It's so rare that I actually feel happiness these days. DeAndre Swift getting back to the top of this backfield actually brings me joy. DeAndre Swift, 39 snaps, 22 routes, 20 opportunities. That was ahead of Justin Jackson, 16 snaps, 10 routes, 6 opportunities. Jamal Williams, of course, played his usual goal line and kind of base back role. But man, finally, Evan, finally, they get Swift back out there. And the question going forward is this a one-game thing, or is this going to be sticky. I think they're still going to play all three, which is infuriating. Every time Justin Jackson gets a snap, it makes me sick. But if this is going to be sticky, we can start playing DeAndre Swift comfortably again. Do you think it'll be sticky? And what do you think of all this Swift stuff?
I don't know. I feel like it's a time will tell thing. I love this offensive effort from the Lions. I mean, the Lions are really, really explosive on offense, and it's not a scrub Jaguars defense. They dropped 140-14. They've got a lot of Jamison Williams made his debut. He was targeted once, 0 catches. But I mean, once they get him ramped up, like they've got a lot of firepower. And I think this is their 5th win, right?
Yep.
They're up to 5-7. Like our Lions, we might be getting this win total over, baby.
Yeah, we need over 6.5. I could use some over 7.5 too. That would be a miracle. And I could use them to make the playoffs too, which isn't dead, but not looking great. But they've been playing better, man. And I know like everybody likes to rag on their defense. I thought the defense played well against the Bills.
Yeah.
And I thought the defense played well against the Jaguars. So I'm not saying they're good, but I don't think they're nearly as bad as they were at the beginning of the season. No. They figured some things out. So
yeah, I mean, they're like, and this was against a surging Jaguars offense. Came into this game, Trevor Lawrence had played really well in 3 straight games, and they kind of shut him down.
A couple more things here. First, just tracking Evan's bet. So Amon-Ra St. Brown got tackled to the 1-yard line for literally I don't even know how many times this season. Every time it makes me more furious than the previous time. But now Jamal Williams got another 1-yard touchdown. He now has 14 on the season, 2 clear of Nick Chubb, 4 clear of Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. So certainly live here heading to the last 5 weeks.
Oh, baby, let's get this. Let's get this. One time.
Yeah, let's get it. I'm rooting for you, even though it's tilting me that Amon-Ra can't get in there. And DeAndre Swift keeps getting tackled at the 1. But anyways, Jameson Williams made his debut here. College football fans and prospect people, of course, very familiar with Jameson Williams, one of the best prospects, if not the best wide receiver prospect in this class. Blew out his knee in, I believe it was a national championship game last year. They got him back out there, eased him in with just 8 snaps and 2 routes in this game. I think going forward, he's likeliest to take from Khalif Raymond. I still like DJ Chark, man. DJ Chark played well here. DJ Chark leads the entire NFL in average depth of target, and he's getting 5 to 6 targets per game. That's going to be a valuable role, right? It's going to be really volatile and really boom bust. But when you're getting the ball 15, 20 yards down the field every time and getting it 5, 6 chances a game, that's pretty valuable. So yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Jameson stuff or anything else.
No, I think it's worth noting that when Josh Reynolds came back from his back injury, they eased him in super slightly. When DJ Chark came back from his injury, he played 11 snaps in that initial game back. And so, that's what they've been doing with guys coming off injuries. I think it's going to be more slowly but surely with Jameson Williams as they ramp him up. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be an exciting addition to their offense, no doubt. I mean, this dude was a vertical game breaker in college.
I wouldn't feel comfortable starting Jameson until I see him really get ramped up in snaps. I know people are going to have that question. Hey, should I pick up Jameson and start him? I think it's a little early for that for me yet, but I do like holding him and seeing what can happen there. Let's go to Green Bay. I mean, Christian Watson, I like Christian Watson, man. He's super athletic. I get it. He's going full-blown Deebo Samuel on the touchdown rate, though. 2021 Deebo Samuel, that is. Obviously not 2022, because what Deebo Samuel did in 21 was completely unsustainable. Christian Watson now has 7 touchdowns, 7 on 25 catches, and he has 2 more touchdowns on 5 carries. 9 touchdowns on 30 touches this season for Christian Watson. Obviously, that's unsustainable, but guys who can do this at an outlier level are like freak athletes. Clearly, that's what Christian Watson is. Any thoughts on him? Anything else on the Packers here?
I continue to think that he reminds me a lot of Martavis Bryant at this point. We were talking about him as like a comparison to Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I feel confident saying that he's better than that. He was the 34th overall pick in the draft. God, he had, what was it, the first play of scrimmage of the regular season, Aaron Rodgers hit him for a 75-yard touchdown, and it just glanced off his hands. And, it took a while for him to kind of climb out of that doghouse, but man, he's well out of that doghouse and he's balling.
I am watching the Aaron Jones injury. It didn't look like it was severe, but he left the game for a little with what they were calling a shin issue. I think he got back in for a little bit, but that was why you saw the big A.J. Dillon game in the box score there. Obviously, anytime Aaron Jones sits, I mean, AJ Dillon's an absolute smash. So I don't think that Aaron Jones is going to sit, but certainly watching it. Let's go. Oh, they have a bye next. So doesn't even matter for this week's slate. Rams, honestly, this Rams game I thought was like a 99th percentile performance for them, given their talent right now. Like they actually played the best they can possibly play in this game, even with John Walford going 14 of 26 for 178 yards, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He was, I mean, I'm not saying that he can do much better, but he was throwing to Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson, Brandon Powell. I mean, this is like the stone cold worst team. I have no interest. I know Cam Akers scored 2 touchdowns here. I have no interest in playing Cam Akers. Any thoughts on the Rams?
Yeah, even after this 2 touchdown effort, I can't really get behind Cam Akers either. I mean, the week before that, Kieran Williams looked like he was taking over the backfield, and it's just going to continue to be a committee on a very low scoring team. We are recording this at 2:20 Eastern time on Tuesday. The rumor is that the Rams are going to claim Baker Mayfield off of waivers. I don't think it matters like at all. I mean, Baker Mayfield would not be set up for success in any kind of way in this situation. But I guess something to note for deep two quarterback super flex.
Let's go to Minnesota. By the way, Minnesota this week, I believe they're 10-2 or something like that. They are a underdog to our Lions. So shows you what the market thinks right now of the Vikings. The Lions. Anyways, a little frustrating because I did play Dalvin in DFS and he was only like 5%. And I thought that was really good. And then Alexander Mattison, he didn't play a lot. Alexander Mattison only played 17 snaps. Dalvin got 51. But Mattison did get in there and get a red zone carry and scored, which was frustrating because I feel like that should have been Dalvin's, but that's just all in the game a little bit there. Anything for you on the Vikings, whose player usage, again, has become really, really predictable?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of know what we're getting pretty much every week from this Vikings offense. Is the Jets have a really good defense, and so Kirk Cousins didn't have a big game. Justin Jefferson is so good that he still gets there. 7 for 40, or only 45, but he gets in the box too. He's a matchup proof player at this point.
For New Orleans, this was probably the most shocking usage of the week. Alvin Kamara not only ceded a ton of work to Mark Ingram. I mean, Kamara was only up 34-25 in snaps. Kamara was only up 15-12 in opportunities. But the most shocking part to me of it was Mark Ingram was out there in passing situations. Like, of all the times to not use Alvin Kamara, they're like running screens and swing passes on 3rd down to Mark Ingram. I don't know what's going on here. We might have to put out the bat signal to Underhill. There's no way a 33-year-old Mark Ingram should be taking this much from Alvin Kamara. So I don't know what Kamara did. I get he hasn't been playing well. He didn't have a good game here either. But there's no way.
He lost 2 fumbles in the previous game.
Okay, lost 2 fumbles. Yeah. That's fine. There's no way Mark Ingram gives you a better chance to win.
Well, I mean, I know. We agree on that. But, I mean, he has not been having a good season. Yeah. I feel like they're punishing him. I'll definitely hit up Underhill about it, and we'll have more on Friday. But Alvin Kamara's not – I've been starting to wonder, like, is this going to be Alvin Kamara's final season as a Saint? He's also got that court case coming up after the season. So I don't know, not positive vibes with him right now.
Yeah, really, really frustrating. By the way, they do have a bye coming up this week, so it's not pertinent to this week's slate. But yeah, I was just like really, really frustrated and shocked by that. Rashid Shaheed. With the bye coming up, I don't think I would use a pickup here on this guy, but he does flash, man. I mean, I'm no hand in the dirt guy, but Shaheed looks really fast out there.
Yeah, he is fast. Yeah.
What do you think about adding him? But the problem is they have their bye, so it's tough.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Maybe put him at the end of your bench if you're in a deeper bench league. But I think it's gonna be tough to trust them down the stretch when we got access to everybody. There's no buys left.
Yeah.
I think he's probably just still like a wide receiver 4.
Yep. Giants, they tied this game against the Washington football team. Another solid but not spectacular game for our boy Danny Dimes. He's now on pace for 739 rushing yards. By the way, that would be the 14th most rushing yards ever by a quarterback in a season prior to this year, would be that 739. for Daniel Jones. Continues to put up numbers without horrible weapons. Good sign for Saquon Barkley, who I think looked better in this game in a very difficult matchup. What do you see out of the Giants here?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. They're starting Isaiah Hodgins at this point. He went 5 for 44 and a touchdown. Opposite Darius Slayton went 6 for 90. But I mean, we kind of know what to expect, I think, at this point from the Giants offense on a weekly basis.
Let's go to the Eagles. So much talk about the AJ Brown revenge narrative. And by the way, I don't know if you saw John Robinson, Titans GM, got fired this morning. It's like he trade away AJ Brown, he dunks on you on Sunday, and then you get fired. I mean, he had 4 years left on his contract, and he's going to keep getting paid from the reports. So can't feel too bad for him. But AJ Brown
just got an extension before the season,
right? And so AJ Brown really gave it to John Robinson. Here, really good game for AJ. Jalen Hurts as a thrower was awesome in this game. I mean, Hurts' improvement as a thrower is so crazy. Third in the NFL this year in completion percentage. He was 26th last year. Second in yards per attempt. He was 15th in that category last year. Third in passer rating. He was 22nd last year. Fourth in PFF grades among all quarterbacks. He was 20th last year. So awesome year for Jalen Hurts. The 40-1 MVP stuff is even more live now after the Chiefs lost a game. But anyways, what you see out of the Eagles, really good performance for them against the Titans.
Yeah, awesome game as a passer, and he still continues to face questions on a weekly basis, really, from, kind of people out there talking about, he's like a running back, or, he's, is he really like a big time pocket passer? I mean, he just continues to improve. Again, I will never forget watching him as a freshman, Jalen Hurts at Alabama, watching OJ Howard. And like the only way they could get the ball to OJ Howard was like on shovel passes from Jalen Hurts, and they didn't trust Jalen Hurts to play. He winds up losing his position essentially to Tua. He transfers, and I mean the trajectory for him as a passer has just been a steady upward ascent, and it's pretty cool. I wanted to reiterate, and I think that it was Dink that was first on this, that the actual beneficiary of no Dallas Goedert, who should be coming back I think he might be coming back in week 15.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
But the primary beneficiary of him being out has been Quez Watkins, who saw 5 catches here, 6 targets, did not make any big plays, but we know that he's got that in his bag. Devonta Smith is balling, and he's getting 8 targets a game on a regular basis at this point. And, I think he's an every week, and I know he's been up and down this year. They have been a run heavy offense for the majority of the season. He's the number 2, but I think you can lock him in as a wide receiver 3 at this point.
Oh yeah, I've been playing Devontae in season long all year. It's been great. Have a ton of Devontae in season in best ball. Love that. I did notice Quez Watkins appeared to bang up his shoulder a little bit late in that game, so we'll be watching that this week. Obviously, Quez Watkins is not someone a lot of people are going to be reporting on, so we will be checking the injury reports there on Quez. Speaking of injury reports, feel for San Francisco a little bit here. I thought San Francisco had a really good chance to go to the Super Bowl this year with the way they were playing. Now they lose Jimmy Garoppolo to a broken foot. He's going to be done for the season. Brock Purdy, I believe they're calling him Big Cock Brock in San Francisco. But anyways, Brock Purdy, I thought came in cold and played a really good game, man. I mean, and I get that when you're in the Shanahan scheme and you have all these weapons around you, you can play well. But for coming in cold, no practice, I thought you played really well. What do you think about Brock Purdy? Can you tell the people anything about him? And what do you think about how he'll fare going forward, how it relates to all these other guys?
Yeah, I think he was a 4-year starter at Iowa State. He's actually a pretty good athlete. He ran like 4.8, and he rushed for 19 career rushing TDs in college. So he can move a little bit. Nick Mullins, Mike White, it's true, especially when you have a lot of talent around you, as the 49ers do. You can, and you're just an offensive executor. You can have success, at least on a limited basis, as a passer in this style of offense. It's very, very quarterback friendly. So, I mean, I don't know what to say about Brock Purdy, but I mean, it definitely sounds like he's going to be the starter for the rest of the season. I mean, I think that they actually named him that. I don't think Trey Lance is coming back.
No. Certainly think it'll be Purdy the rest of the way. And by the way, with no Eli Mitchell and with no Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, it's time to lean on Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah.
and they did that in this game. Christian McCaffrey, 69 snaps in this game, 35 routes, 27 opportunities. I was a little bit skeptical they would expand his role here just because Eli Mitchell was out. I thought they could get Jordan Mason or TDP in there, but they didn't. I mean, they just went for it with CMC, and if he has this role, he is going to absolutely go nuts. George Kittle, by the way, we're going to have to, DraftKings really slashed his price. It's going to be a big topic of conversation on Friday. Will be George Kittle here. He only pass blocked 3 times per PFF here. You know, one of the things about these, how often they pass block stats are, is like if you chip before you go out into your route, I feel like you're not really a huge part of the route, right? And so, like, I don't know. The tape bros tell me that Kittle chips a lot before he goes out into routes. I don't know. We'll have to think about that before Friday's show.
Daigle had a thing. He took the under on this game, this 49ers Dolphins game. I was like all over the over, at least until Friday when I got real spooked by all the offensive line injuries.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then Daigle, he told me that I just got lucky on the over. And then I reminded him that we got the over with Brock Purdy in there, bro. Yeah. And so I had to tell him that it's time to capitulate. And he refused. So.
Seattle. So one of the worst injuries, I talked about a bunch on the solo pod, but one of the worst injuries for me all year, certainly from a financial perspective, was Kenneth Walker going down. And actually, Kenneth Walker was going to score a touchdown on the play he got hurt on, but one of the linebackers or safeties on San Francisco just like shot the gap and forced Kenneth Walker to kind of change his line. And on that, he kind of rolled his ankle. It's a weird injury. They're calling it a strain or a jam on the inside of his ankle / foot. Consider him questionable for now, but I mean, Travis Homer was out. DJ Dallas was banged up. Kenneth Walker had to leave. No problem, man. Geno, 39 attempts, 20 targets for Lockett and DK Metcalf. And when Geno is playing like this, it's actually a good strategy. They come back and win the game. What'd you see out of Seattle's narrow win over the Rams?
Yeah, Geno, my goodness, man. I mean, what do you think about the Seahawks as a Super Bowl long shot?
Yeah. I mean, if the Eagles and the Cowboys, I think, and even the 49ers with Purdy maybe, but are clearly ahead of Seattle, I think. But yeah, I didn't see prices, but it's at least possible.
Yeah. We need to figure out if Kenneth Walker is going to miss time. I don't know. What's your feeling on that? What's your sense right now?
I think if I had to guess right now, he would miss time concerning he couldn't get back into the game last week. So
we need to figure out who the next dude is going to be. I mean, is it going to be DJ Dallas? They gave Tony Jones work, and Tony Jones stinks, by the way.
Yeah, I think it would have been more DJ Dallas, but he was banged up in the game also.
Yeah, and Travis Homer was out for this game, so that's going to be something that we'll have to figure out.
For sure. And honestly, I think that they can take a really pass-heavy approach going forward, man. I mean, they've already done it. Their pass rate over expectation is like 5th or 6th highest in the league, and it can go higher with the way Geno's playing.
Yeah, and I mean, if their top 2 backs are going to be DJ Dallas and Travis Homer, assuming that they are healthy enough to play, then, I mean, their main back is going to be like a passing down back.
Right. Tampa. So we debated a lot the Leonard Fournette versus Rachaad White split. What should it be? My take was it should be around 50-50, but I thought that if it wasn't, like I thought White would be the one who could get to 55 or 60 more likely than Lenny. That turned out to be wrong. Lenny led 48-33 in snaps. Lenny led 32-21 in routes, but they had the exact same number of opportunities. Each had 17. Rachaad White also had a bad fumble, but then they get him back in the game. They actually called for him. I think they looked to me like they called for him to get back in the game on that last play, and he ends up scoring the game-winning touchdown. So really good signs there on Rachaad White. What you see out of the Bucs last night?
Yeah, I would expect a relatively even split going forward. I thought Lenny looked pretty good in the game, but I think that Rachaad White brings a little bit more to their offense. They're going to continue to rotate him. Mike Evans is just like, what is going on? He's killing me right now.
And Marshawn Lattimore did not play in this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it should have been, in theory, a good spot. I think Tom Brady is not bad, but is significantly worse than where he was. I mean, this Chris Godwin thing, every route that they complete to Chris Godwin is like, take 3 steps, sit down between 3 guys, catch the ball, and just get crushed. Like, it's so bad. I mean, he's down to 6.1 ADOT. It's Chris Godwin. That's the 7th lowest among all NFL wide receivers. We're talking like Debo, Rondale, Renfro, Dortch type stuff for Chris Godwin's role. So Yeah, no bueno, man. No bueno. I mean, they easily could have scored 3 points in that game. They just happened to get hot late. Saints screwed up a couple times, pass interference call. And by the way, Mike Evans would have scored on that where he was interfered with in the fourth quarter. So something to be said there for Mike Evans. Last one we're going to do here today is the Washington football team. They tied the Giants. 41 attempts for Taylor Heineke. This is not the way the Washington football team wants to play. I thought he was okay, but he did take 5 sacks, only 6.6 yards per attempt, but that's not the way that they're going to win games by relying on Taylor Heineke. They did end up tying, though. What do you see out of the football team?
Yeah, and McLaurin really took advantage of that big spike in pass attempts. 8 for 105 and a touchdown, 12 targets. His problem before that had been Heineke was just not getting a lot of attempts. I don't think that this is something that you can count on going forward. But, again, McLaurin is the clear alpha in this pass-catching offense. Antonio Gibson played through his stress fracture, but was severely out-carried by Brian Robinson. I haven't seen the participation numbers in terms of snaps yet.
It was pretty close. I mean, Gibson still had played 30-plus snaps. So, yeah, they didn't really limit it, but for sure the carry gap was wide in this game. Yeah, and on the McLaurin stuff, I mean, he's going to see 25 to 30% of Heineke's targets every game. Obviously, that's not great when Heineke throws 20. When Heineke throws 41, it's a smash. So, yeah. All right. That is going to do it for this NFC Team by Team podcast. We'll be back later tonight for the AFC Team by Team podcast. For Evan, for Bruce and Luke, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.